Good evening. It is so wonderful to see all of you here this evening. I'm Pam Cashwell, Secretary at the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Executive Mansion. Thank you all so much for being here. Governor Stein, and I saw First Lady Stein, there you are. Thank you so much for hosting us this evening. We really appreciate you so much already. And again, thank you all for being here. At DNCR, we take care of the things that people love about North Carolina. I'm excited because I've just started this role, and so the number of times that I will be saying that and getting to visit all the places that we love about North Carolina just gets me psyched every time I say it. The African American Heritage Commission is one of the many things that falls under our department. And the commission does excellent work across the state connecting communities on projects including the Civil Rights Trail, Africa to Carolina, the Green Book, the African American Cultural Celebration, Freedom Roads, Rosenwald Schools, and the fabulous new Freedom Park, which is across the street. If you haven't visited, you definitely should. Black history is North Carolina history, and our department gets to tell the story of North Carolina. And one of our top priorities is to make sure that we tell a more inclusive, accurate, and representative story about the people and events that have shaped who we are here in this state. This year's ceremony is honoring entrepreneurs and small business leaders, as you know, so thank you and congratulations to all of this year's honorees. Your vision and innovation have made your communities and our state a stronger place to live, work, and play. And I'm now happy to introduce the chair of the North Carolina African American Heritage Commission, Dr. Valerie Johnson. Dr. Johnson, in addition to serving on the African American Heritage Commission, also serves as a member of the North Carolina Historical Commission and the National Register Advisory Committee. She's also Director of Infrastructure and Development at the North Carolina Environmental Justice Network. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Valerie Johnson.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to this wonderful event. You've heard a little bit about the North Carolina African American Heritage Commission. We want you to know that the commission is serviced by a wonderful staff. Adrian Neardy is the director. Adrian? And we also have as advisors a commission, our advisory board, and I see at least one of our commissioners, Dr. Tamara Holmes' brothers over there. All to say this work isn't done in solitude, but it is my pleasure to be able to introduce Representative Amber Baker, and I have to use specs, so. Dr. Amber M. Baker has dedicated her professional life to serving the community, and she serves the community by focusing on affordable housing, education funding, and supporting small businesses. She has over 2 decades of experience as a K-12 administrator. Sit with that for a moment, y'all, because education is so key, and to administer our education is important. She has made significant impact on education, especially in Forsyth County, North Carolina. Her bachelor's degree comes from education in elementary education from Winston-Salem State. Yes. I won't go through the roll call. And she also has received her Master of Arts and PhD from, I have to say this, the Ohio State University. Throughout her career, Dr. Baker has launched several impactful community initiatives. She started the first Children's Defense Fund Freedom School and that site was at Winston-Salem. She was able to found a community garden that was recognized in First Lady Michelle Obama's book, American Grown, helping to address food insecurity in one of the counties where insecurity is quite high when it comes to food. She has collaborated with multiple stakeholders in creating a multi-use sports complex for students and the community, expanding playgrounds for pre-kindergarten students, and developing an outdoor water garden and amphitheater for experiential learning. I say all this because she was elected to our General Assembly in 2020, and Dr. Baker represents District 72 in Forsyth County. All that experience is coming to us to serve the whole of North Carolina. And her leadership goes beyond the legislative floor. She has an active role in the North Carolina Legislative Black Caucus as the new first vice president. Got it right? Okay. And she is committed to working for our state, the needs of her community, our community, and I am honored to introduce her for this Black History Month celebration at the Governor's Executive Mansion.
Well, you know, we are now living in a time where we have the uber rich that are running our country, and so I was having difficulty finding somewhere to park my jet. So I bring apologies and greetings. Every time I hear my bio read, I step back and say, who are they talking about, right? Because when you are a person who is truly a public servant, the only time you ever stop and reflect on the difference that you're making is when somebody forces you to sit down and write about yourself. So I am honored to be here. Those of you know me know that 20 years as administrator, 30 years this year as an educator, and I like to tell people I don't do well with people over the age of 18, right? And I am an educator who moonlights as a politician, and let that sit with you for a while, because at the heart of everything that I do it from the framework of being an educator, because, as Doc said, we know that education is the great equalizer. And so they have properly introduced me today, and I am here standing in the stead for Senator Candy Smith, who is our newly elected chair for the Legislative Black Caucus, but because of a previous engagement and commitment that she could not get out of, she asked me to come in her stead and bring a few remarks. And this is an exciting time. We know that the contributions of Black people are not just limited to the shortest month of the year of 28 days, but we will take it and we will elevate all of the contributions that has made this nation great and indeed continues to make this nation great. And in this instance, our definite state, the best it can possibly be. As we think about the contributions that has been made throughout our history by our prominent Blacks in this community, we look at the struggles and the triumphs and those things that unite us, because things like struggle is not unique to one race or another. Indeed, when we reflect on that, it is what binds us together. We also know that we are currently under attack in this country. An attempt to erase the contributions or to eliminate or to water down those things in our history that make some feel uncomfortable. Well, let me tell you, when you are uncomfortable, that means that you have work to do internally, and it should also motivate you to do something even greater. And so, you know, we want to continue to fight and to push back against this attack as we move forward. You know, it's not only what we're seeing in terms of the attempt to erase the contributions of Blacks, but it is just a general backsliding in our country and indeed our nation. And so, again, with you in this room, along with everyone else that has joined the governor and us in the legislature, we will fight against this in our state, and we are often in the news for things that are not so good. But I love for the moment for us to be in the news for the state that has shown the proper way to fight against what we see, particularly in this month of February. You know, one of the things that I focus on is small businesses. My sister and my brother and many family members were small business owners. I understand that it is what generates our economy. Black entrepreneurship is important. We often hear about Greenwood, but Greenwood wasn't the only Black Wall Street. We had one in Wilmington. We had one in Winston. We had one here, right here in Raleigh and in Durham. So it is not an exception. Indeed, it was a norm. And so we continue to celebrate Black entrepreneurship, not just during this month, but every month. And I also want to say that without our Black pastors, without our Black leaders, without the people in our Black community that forged us ahead and to have the hard conversations and to push for equality, when we pushed for equality for Black folks, everyone benefited from that. So again, we know that we are united in our struggle and our triumph, and we are continuing to move forward, and we are here today to honor that. We know that 5.7% of businesses in North Carolina are Black-owned. We would like to see that number increase, and we remain committed to putting that in place, things in place that will increase that. We know that it represents progress of a few, but we look forward to it increasing more. And so as I wrap up, I want to say to all the entrepreneurs that are here today, we congratulate you. We know that we will give all that we can give to you so that you can continue to give back to our community. To everyone else in this room, while she read my accomplishments, I'm not unique in standing on the shoulders of those that have gone before me, and I do understand that as I move forward, I am also creating a pathway, but so are each of you. So take a moment to think about the things that you've done in your life to make it a little bit better, and that the fight continues. I want to also say, again, that me and my colleagues are committed to standing shoulder to shoulder with our governor, and indeed our justices who are committed to the blind eye of justice. We are committed to standing shoulder to shoulder to bring about change, a much needed change, and take our good state back to being a great state. So again, thank you, and I now turn it over to my fellow Triad member, Mr. Jerry McCants.
Thank you, and thanks for acknowledging the Triad in Greensboro and all of my good friends, Skip Austin, Gwen, Crystal, so on and so forth. Thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening. Governor Josh Stein was called in public service by his faith and his family. His faith teaches him that we are all called to make a difference, and his parents raised his brother, sister, and him to try to do what is right, like they did, and grounded them in our shared values of freedom and opportunity for everyone. As Attorney General, Josh and his team have cleared this nation's largest backing of untested rape kits, tackled the opioid and fentanyl crisis, and defended people's fundamental freedoms. As governor, Josh will bring people together to help Western North Carolina recover from Hurricane Helene, create economic opportunity for all North Carolinians, invest in public schools, and keep people safe. Josh and his wife, Anna, live in Raleigh and are members of Temple Beth Or. They are the proud parents of Sam, Adam, and Leah, who all attended North Carolina public schools just like they did. So if you can please join me in welcoming the 76th governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein.
Gary, thank you for that kind introduction. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. In the bio, it said that Anna and I live in Raleigh, and we live really in Raleigh because of you folks and many people across the state. So I know we're not getting political, but I don't have this job without the help of pretty much everybody in this room, and I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And most days, Anna is happy that I have the job and we get to be here. But every day, she's a trooper. Anna, thank you for being a great First Lady. Before we get started, I just want to make sure everybody is aware about this winter mess that's about to hit us tomorrow. We're expecting wintry precipitation across much of the state. The northern part of the state will see snow. As you go southeast, it'll turn to sleet and freezing rain. So it turns out sort of the deep southeast, New Bern, Kinston, they have the greatest risk of power loss as the trees topple onto the power lines. The roads are going to be an absolute nightmare, freezing, thawing, refreezing. If you don't need to travel after tomorrow midday, just stay home. And you can tell your boss I said stay home. It's about staying safe. We want everybody to be safe. I want to thank the African American Heritage Commission and the Legislative Black Caucus for helping to create and co-sponsor this year's event. It is a privilege to be surrounded by such an esteemed group of political, business, and community leaders. I want to thank all the legislators who are here. If you're a legislator, would you please raise your hand? I can tell you these folks have a tough job. It is not the most hospitable of environments, but they go down there and champion our interests every day, and we are incredibly grateful for what you all do for us. Wonderful to be joined by Representative Baker. Where'd she snuck off already? Secretary Cashwell, Dr. Johnson, thank you all for being here and your participation. Of course, you can't talk about North Carolina without talking about the contributions of Black North Carolinians. The folks who have contributed over the years have helped to move this state and our nation closer to our ideal of equal justice under law. They did it often at great personal cost and sacrifice. They've strengthened our state from every angle, from law and politics, from government and art, culture, academia, education, religion, and commerce. And as we celebrate Black History Month this year, we want to provide a special focus on Black entrepreneurs. Through their enterprise, generations of Black North Carolinians have strengthened their communities. John Merrick is a prime example. Merrick was a Durham entrepreneur born into slavery, but later became the personal barber of the Duke family. He achieved great financial success individually, but as he did so, he didn't pull up the ladder behind him. No, he used his position to bring more well-paying jobs to his neighbors in Durham. To protect people's earnings, he founded the first Black bank in Durham, as well as a real estate company and a property insurer to protect the investments that his Black neighbors made in their community. He also founded the Bull City Drug Company and became a president of the Lincoln Hospital Board of Trustees, each of which brought more middle-class jobs to Durham and upward mobility to many people in the community. As Merrick understood, and Merrick also understood the power of education that was racistly denied him. He was a significant donor to the institution we now know as North Carolina Central University, as well as the local public library. John Merrick's life is a testament to the power of one person to transform his or her community. And of course, he is far from the only one. Thaddeus Tate was another barber who contributed to Charlotte in the early 1900s in much of the same way that Merrick did to Durham. In the 1950s, Fred Simpson founded the Rabbits Motel in Asheville to create a safe haven for black travelers to stay. Greensboro native Mary Richardson established a prominent clothing business that dressed celebrities like Grace Kelly and Barbara Rockefeller. She used her financial success to house black artists who couldn't otherwise find lodging, as well as to write a fashion column that helped women establish autonomy through entrepreneurship. These select examples teach us that the measure of a life isn't just how far you climb, it's what you do when you get there and who you bring along with you. But I don't need to tell this room that truth, because you're here today because you followed that same tradition of excellence and service that John Merrick, Thaddeus Tate, Fred Simpson, and Mary Richardson pioneered. Take a look at our friend Gary McCants. Greensboro has benefited tremendously from his business acumen, and just as much from his work with the Minority and Women Business Enterprise Steering Committee. I'm grateful to have enjoyed our conversations and all that I've learned along the way. I look around this room and see so many other business leaders who have had an incredible impact on the state and on me personally. We've had a tremendous group of entrepreneurs here representing a range of industries, from restaurants to law firms, salons to real estate, art to construction. Some of these businesses are generational in length. Others are making a significant impact after just a few years. If you are a business person, would you please raise your hand? As you continue strengthening your communities and creating jobs and opportunities for your neighbors, I am committed to working with you as your governor. Minority-owned businesses make up a fifth of small businesses in North Carolina. We must ensure that every North Carolinian has an equal opportunity to start a small business if that's where their heart drives them. We must expand opportunity and accessibility for small and minority and women-owned businesses to compete for state contracts. So we must give the Office of Historically Underutilized Businesses, HUB, more teeth by getting not just a governor who shares that value, but a General Assembly who will back him up. This is not an easy time in this country. It's a hard time for those of us who believe that all North Carolinians should have a fair shot to participate in the growth of this economy. The work of so many over so many generations feels at risk. But as we have discovered time and time again in our history, progress is not linear, neither is it easy or permanent. The hard work of winning progress falls afresh to every generation, and this is our time. So we must persevere, knowing that what we do is not only right, but it is for the benefit of every North Carolinian. This month and every month, we honor the sacrifices of Black North Carolinians who came before us, and we take inspiration from their contributions so that we too can better the lives of those around us. So let's come together and build a safer, stronger North Carolina with real opportunity for all North Carolinians. It's in honor of the entrepreneurs who are gathered here today and those who came before. I will now sign the proclamation officially declaring February as Black History Month. Thank you so much.